Yes, hello everyone and welcome to all our West Australian football fans to another edition of Around the WAFL, hot off the heels of what was a heart-racing WA Day round of football, and we're here to break it all down for you here today on your go-to WAFL podcast in season 2024. Paul Persick with you alongside Ethan Roth. And I don't know about you, Ethan, but I'm just about wrung out after 3 amazing days of football.
Yeah, well done to you on the call, Paul. You did fantastic in that close encounter at Joondalup. So
heart-racing stuff.
We'll unpack that today as well as all the other games. And just magnificent weekend of footy to get 7,000 at 6,000 at a derby, respectively. I think it's a big tick to all involved.
Absolutely incredible. We'll break down all the games, the Player of the Year votes, and coming up in just a moment, we're going to bring you the Milestone Man. It was his day on Saturday, Tony Notte. He'll join us in just a moment. But here's how you can win big.
Punt from 50, win. Little too into the game, win. Too cocky, almost a win. Risking it all for the glory, win. It's win-win at the WAFL. Great footy, food and entertainment. Find out more at waffle.com.au.
Yes, plenty of big win-wins so far in season 2024. But if the WA Day round was meant to belong to one player, then surely it belongs to today's guest. He is a stalwart of the Swan Districts Football Club, and for that matter, the WAFL. And on Saturday, he was a part of history. 300 games, becoming only the 7th player to register that sensational milestone. And he was good enough to join us here today. The one, the only, Tony Notte. He's here on Around the WAFL. Tony, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us, and congratulations on a great day.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Good morning to everyone.
Great to have you here on the show. Could you have imagined a better script to that day? It was like if Alfred Hitchcock had written a script like that. Your 300th game and you finish up with a ball in your hand after taking a typical Tony Notte mark.
I suppose that situation, finishing the balls nicely, but it would have been nicer if it wasn't as close.
And Tony, congratulations on the milestone. Did you ever think in your wildest imagination you'd be playing 300 games for the mighty Swan Districts?
Oh, no, not really, mate. Like, never had a goal to play this amount of games throughout my career, but obviously very proud to have got to this point now.
It looked like a pretty tough scrap over there at Sullivan Logistics Stadium on Saturday. Subiaco kept coming at you. You challenged them as well, and then you just pulled away in the final few minutes of the game. They were a tough opponent.
Yeah, and they always are. They have been for so long now. I think both teams probably struggled a bit with the way they control the ball and the skills at times. So, yeah, it was an ugly contest. But, yeah, lucky we were just on the other end this time. And we've been, in some battles with Subi over the years and, they've pumped us a few times, so it was nice to get a couple back on them.
And you've made it public that this will be your last year in the competition. You must feel like the team is gelling really well in this middle part of the season. It's coming together as you look to go out on a high towards the back end of the year.
Yeah, look, it's just, I think for us now, it's just trying to, keep winning. And even though we've had real close games, we've still got a lot to work on. We've got a really good mix in the team. But just hopefully, we can all stay fit and maybe get a couple of players back a couple of weeks after a bye this week.
Yeah, the mix of players that you've got on the side, the experienced folks like yourself, also Jesse Turner and company, have really blended in well with some of the younger faces in that side, like McLaughlin, Glass, McCasker, and the New South Australian recruit Nick Rokar, who's having a wonderful season since the start. That blend has proved quite vital for the Swans side, now starting to win some pretty close games.
Yeah, absolutely. I think having those recruits really help. Having, Nick and Jai come across here, and you can see the impact they've had in the midfield in this competition shows the quality of player they are. But you add that within our local talent, our young kids as well. And then we are missing a few of the older guys at the moment, but I think they'll come back through towards the next few weeks or whatnot. So, the mix is really good at the moment.
And I'm sure the last week has been, you've done the media rounds and it's been a lot of focus on you, which is obviously well deserved. You must be keen to look forward from here on in and, reflecting upon it. You must have, celebrated it, I'm sure, over the weekend.
Yeah, it was a big week leading into it. Obviously, a lot of hype, and I think it was a bit more of a relief on the weekend when the siren went. That I could actually really enjoy it and celebrate with people that have helped support me over the time, and had a really good night.
Now, I want to ask you this. Did the umpires let you keep the match ball after you took that mark on the siren?
I did hand it back.
Oh.
But, the boys ended up signing the footy for me and ended up taking it. So, I've got that with me now.
Oh, fantastic stuff. And I must say as well, following on from that, your dedication to playing for this side as well as a testament and the longevity that you've got, going from Bunbury where you've got family and work commitments to going over to Bassendean and all around WA each week to play for Swan Districts at your best. It's really appreciated by all the fans in the WAFL. What's it like for you from a personal point of view, having to make that long travel from Bunbury to Bassendean or Claremont every week? Do you always get that thrill, don't you?
Yeah, it is. It's a bit of a juggling act the last couple of years to make it work. But like at moments like that on the weekend, make it worth it. And I've got really good support, family support down here and back home in the Swan Valley. So that makes it a whole lot easier.
Well, so your support is well-deserved, mate. Congratulations on a wonderful day. 300 games, even better, celebrating it with a win, a gutsy one over Subiaco. All the very best for the rest of the season, Tony. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the time. Have a good one.
Thanks, Tony. Tony Notte joining us here on Around the WAFL. 300 games, and what a milestone it certainly was. But what about the scenes as well when he got chaired off? Let's have a look here, courtesy of Lost Waffle, who put this on their Twitter after that game on Saturday. I mean, just looking at the appreciation that both the teams were able to show for Tony Notte as he was being chaired off. These are scenes I don't think in the modern WAFL we'll ever see again.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think it'll ever be even close to being reached, to be honest. 300 games. It is unheard of, and to take that mark on the siren, who wrote these scripts.
It's amazing. Not even Spielberg or Hitchcock would have written something like that. I mean, it's a dream. It's like the Wayne's World dream sequence.
Destiny. It's like it was meant to always be.
I think it certainly was for Tony Notte. Congratulations to him. 300 games and all the best to him, because it is his last season, and no doubt he'll look to go out on a high note. And he certainly celebrated in a great way. 300 games in what was a great win over Subiaco. We'll recap that game in just a moment, but you can get some great WAFL apparel by checking this out.
Introducing the WAFL Merch Shop, your ultimate destination for all things WAFL. From jerseys to scarves to caps, show your support for the WAFL in style. Grab exclusive merchandise now and gear up to cheer louder than ever before. Visit shop.wafl.com.au today and let your passion shine.
Yes, the WAFL merchandise store. That Waffle men's shirt I got the other day, damn, it looks good, let me tell you. And for those men and women that want to get some shirts, scarf, beanies, it is all available on the WAFL shop. Let's go to the games. First off, Claremont and Peel Thunder on the Saturday at Revo Fitness Stadium. And Claremont got themselves back on track. They needed a win like that, and they were able to deliver by 29 points, 10-12 to 5-13. And I'm going to be honest, I have never seen a more flat Peel Thunder performance than what I saw on Saturday. They were dominated in the inside 50 count. They had 25 more disposals per goal and 5 goals 13, the end result. Not a pleasant figure.
Yeah, the inaccuracy speaks for itself, doesn't it? Yeah, I don't think many people saw this coming.
No.
Peel Thunder, that record at Revo Fitness, I think there's something actually there. Claremont, they're becoming very unpredictable to tip. 1 week they look on fire, then another week they look like they're just not even near it. Peel Thunder, I mean, did the Jacob Blight effect? Surely that can't have that much of an impact. I know it would have some.
It was felt.
Almost 30-point loss. They wouldn't want to use that as an excuse, but yeah, they look shell-shocked.
They certainly did. I think it was pretty felt. With Jacob Blight now gone from as a result of the mid-season draft having been picked up by Richmond last Wednesday, there came a question where who was going to be that key back for Peel. They tried a couple of plays. They even tried Jack Sears, who's usually utilised up forward. That didn't work. He didn't get a lot of the football. They tried a couple of other players as well. Corey Tregenza even was tried down back. So I think Adam Reid was just trying to reevaluate and rethink who's going to be that number one backman for Peel Thunder to fill in the shoes of Jacob Light, which are pretty big shoes after the season that he had before getting picked up by Richmond. And Claremont's forward line were just all over them like a bunch of cheap suits, especially Kieran Gowdy, who made his return to the league side. 3 goals from 12 kicks, a very good return.
Yeah, he is a revelation to come back into the side, as was Jack Musika. So he had a brilliant game as well. And unlike the Thunder, I mean, they were still inaccurate. They still kicked 10 goals, 12, but they made most of their chances more so than the Thunder did. So it's becoming so hard to read Claremont at the moment.
They are very hard to read. You know, they're getting the pieces in place one week, and then all of a sudden it's all muddled up the next week. But in this game in particular, where they needed to get a big scalp like at the time league leaders Peel Thunder, they needed to get everything right, and they certainly did. One of the players that really stood out for me was Anthony Davis. I mean, his run and carry through midfield, his presence on half back as well was incredibly important. Took 10 marks along with his 24 disposals. I reckon he's been the more consistent of the Tigers this season.
He's rated very highly internally. I know that, speaking to a few Claremont players. He's right at the top of the tree in terms of important players, and that was showcased on the weekend. I also, they shut down Neil Erasmus to 22 disposals. 22 disposals is still a good effort, but when Neil is getting 30, 35 every single week, I mean, I can't even remember the last time he got less than 30 in the WAFL competition.
Yeah, it's quite
22,
amazing.
I mean, clearly put some work into him. And, I know Will Brodie had 34 disposals, but it feels like the midfield worked well together in I guess, making the Peel Thunder's players not have as much impact as they've done in recent weeks.
They complemented each other a lot better than the Peel midfield. Will Brodie was basically a lone hand with the 34 disposals, and up forward as well, they didn't have a lot of options apart from Patrick Voss. He was their best goal kicker with 2, but the Claremont backline really made him work hard for his goals. But they were very impressive, Claremont, when they needed to be. And I think as well they were thrown off by the conditions as well, because we were expecting rain all throughout the afternoon. We didn't get it at all. So Peel, I think, was still expecting maybe a wet weather game, but they didn't get it. It was a dry weather game, and Claremont made the most of it.
Yeah, and you never want to be relying on the weather to play well, do you? So,
Nope. If the Bureau of Meteorology says the forecast, then mostly it's wrong.
Claremont, we've said this in the past, but can this be the stepping stone for them to get on this run? We thought it might have happened after their winning against Perth, but
it needs to be. It needs to be, and it needs to start on Sunday against East Perth.
We can't have another drop-off this week for their sake.
Yeah, Claremont cannot afford to drop this game against East Perth. If that win you say is going to be a stepping stone, then they need to prove that against East Perth on Sunday at Sullivan Logistics Stadium. They've got the tools to do so, but it's just a matter of delivering on the field. But they did deliver on Saturday. Winners over Peel Thunder by 29 points. And then let's go to the second game. We spoke with Tony Notte about it earlier. Bit of an ugly game, but sometimes you got to win ugly to get the 4 points, and Swan Districts did just that in another close encounter, this time by 11 points, 9-11-65 to 7-12-54 over the Lions, who are now stuck to 9th place on the ladder, and the Swans, they are in the 5, and let me say, Ethan, they deserve to be.
And they trailed at three-quarter time as well, yes. So a late surge in that last quarter for the great man, Tony Notte. Subiaco, I think they're done. I think they're cooked, and I hate to say that as a Subi man.
Yeah, I'll say this as well. The golden age of Subiaco's dead. I'll say that right now. I mean, when Greg Clark came in, and I'm not singling out anybody, when Greg Clark came in, it was touted to be a huge boost to the Subiaco side. But I think they're relying on him a lot. They're not getting a lot out of their fellow on-ballers. Kitchen, Foley, Savini, even Golding, they weren't getting as much of the football when they were under a lot of pressure from the Swans. They really executed far more pressure on the ball, the Swans, and they deserved the win. Subiaco, I mean, I think it's nowhere to go.
I think they lack leg speed. I think they lack explosiveness in the midfield. I think that's where actually the problem lies. They don't have a player who's just explosive through the stoppages and can add some leg speed. As I said, Greg Clark is a big-bodied midfielder. He's a great player, one of the best players in the competition.
Absolutely.
But he needs more support. You look at someone like a Jai Chalcraft from the other team. They don't have someone like that who can just break those lines, break those packs, and just a real, I guess, match winner for them.
Well, Swan Districts has got more leg speed, period. When you look at, players like Cipro, Shycraft, Nick Rokar, who had a great game, got plenty of score involvements as well, got plenty of inside 50s, Jesse Turner, Jackson McLaughlin. They just had more running players, to sum it up, especially in midfield when they were up against those big bodies of Subiaco. And also, even without Lee Coleman, who was sitting out a couple of games due to concussion, they still had viable options up forward. William Reedy, 3 goals. Lance McCasker, 2. So despite the fact that it was scrappy and a low-scoring affair, Swan District still had options up forward, and their depth in that forward line is still pretty good, even without Lee Coleman, who's been the form forward.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Not relying on one guy, so that'll be pleasing for all involved, Prune and the coaching staff. But yeah, I mean, they've just got players all over the park who are delivering at the moment.
And they're finally able to win the close games as well. When you look at last year, at this time last year, Swan District's lost about 4 or 5 by less than 10 points. Now they've got 4 close wins on the board. They're in the 5. There's a lot of character in that side, a lot of tenacity under Andrew Pruner. I reckon that message has become pretty clear.
Yeah, they could be a contender, you know, the back half of the year, which not many people would have expected. But yeah, they got the better in Subiaco in sort of all aspects of the game, really, when you look at from a stats point of view. You know, both teams inaccurate. It's a common theme in footy. But
it was a lot of pressure. It was a real pressure game despite it being quite scrappy on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and just on Subiaco as well, following up on what I said, I feel like they lack sort of maybe some talent or players in that middle age bracket. You know, you got like Kitchen. You know, I know Dewar didn't play on the weekend, but guys like that, even Lockyer, who's been involved for a long time. And then there seems like, you know, yes, Clark is there, and there's some players in that middle age bracket. I guess Mayo in there, but who are the other players in that middle age bracket that are coming through that are going to take this club forward? Because I dare say Kitchen is last year.
Possibly,
you know,
yes.
Dewar, obviously, at the end.
They've lost Max Walters as well pre-season.
Yeah, that's a huge blow as well. So Drew Road as well. So there's still experience around. But yeah, Subiaco, you know, after making a preliminary final last year, they could be on the cusp of a big rebuild ahead.
They need to, especially, you know, after, you know, the last couple of results that haven't been good from a Lions point of view. But Swan Districts, they are right there in contention for the 5 and well-deserved. Winners over Subiaco by 11 points at Sullivan Logistics Stadium. Now, before we get to the recap of the Sunday game, Perth and West Coast in Northern, I want to take you back to what occurred last Thursday. Who wins on Sunday? Big game, this one.
I'll pick Perth, but with no confidence at all.
Ethan?
Didn't think I'd be doing this too many times this year, but I'm going to back the Eagles.
You what?
You're backing the Eagles. I think they'll get their 3rd win of the season.
This fool had the nerve to tip the West Coast Eagles, and look what happened. What a win by the Eagles. Nobody saw this coming. 10-11 to 10-9. Winners in a cracker in Northern.
What can I say, Paul? Just had the magic touch.
Oh, I guess I'm the fool, aren't I?
Honestly, I just had a feeling about West Coast. I think they've been building. I was not super confident on it, so I can't sit here and say, oh, I knew they were going to win, all this stuff.
You just had that feeling, you know, especially with, you know, the young recruits that are stepping up and becoming more competitive. And you talk about one player in particular, Jack Hutchinson, off the plane
Straight
to
off the
Northern.
plane.
5 goals on debut, if you don't mind.
If you don't mind, yeah, that's... he probably wasn't even thinking that. He's probably just getting used to Perth and Northern. He's probably wondering, where am I?
Yeah.
And all that sort of thing.
Am I in the right state?
Yeah, Perth looked good as well. I mean, they led for the first half.
They look good for 3 quarters. They look good for 3 quarters, even though they kicked 3 goals. I mean, they conceded 4, and they gave up a couple of crucial ones at the end.
Just probably ran out of legs, I guess you could say. I guess the AFL conditioned bodies. I don't like to use that sort of as an excuse in Perth's end, but guys like Hall, Cully in the midfield were busy with 30 disposals.
They were
each.
excellent.
But yeah, Hutchinson, 5 goals. What can you say, really? And from a Perth point of view, I mean, their midfielders worked hard. Corey Brown, 33 disposals. Charlie Thompson, 29. It went down to the wire. I thought it was a real seesawing affair. Every time I looked at it, Perth at the front, then West Coast did, and I was like, this could really go either way. And props to Northern as well. I heard Adrian Barrett on the call say it could be an annual thing, which hopefully it will be, because the community really rallied around it. It was a good day of footy.
Oh, yeah.
And there was plenty of numbers out there.
It was around about 4,000 or 5,000 over there at Henry Street Oval in Northern, and I'll echo Barrow's comments. I reckon, you know, it should become an annual event. You know, Perth hosting these home games, whether it be in Northern, York, the Pilbara, or within their club zone, you know, to get more awareness to the club, awareness into the community, which is great, and you get plenty of eyeballs around it, and that's why I've always said it, you know, bring these games, spread them out across the season in selected rounds to regional areas, spread the appeal of the WAFL. They did it so well in the last couple of years, going to Northampton, Pingelly, Kalgoorlie, and Geraldton, and Broome as well. So why not spread it out? It was absolutely fantastic, and a great turnout over there in Northern, and a great game.
A great initiative, and I liked Kane Johnston's mark as well. That was a highlight straight off the cusp.
That's a mark of the year contender.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone disagrees with that, then what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, he flew up, took the mark, and went back with confidence to kick it through the big stick. So credit to him, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough as the Eagles 3 wins now. They're actually above Subiac on the ladder.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? I mean, that's...
And the first time they've gone back-to-back
that's
wins since 2021.
They're on the surge, these Eagles.
They are.
Who said they don't belong in the WAFL competition? They're here to
Absolutely.
make a claim and stick here.
They made a statement. And well done to the West Coast Eagles. 3 wins. And, under Kyle Horsley as well, we've got to give credit to Kyle Horsley. I mean, he has exceeded my expectations, I will say, as a league coach. He's gone into a club where, it's not the form side, so to speak, as far as, players going in, players going out. But if they gel together under his vision, then they're going to get some good results. And they have done over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and he's a great footy mind, Kyle Horsley. You can
has.
just tell, obviously, his WAFL resume speaks for itself from a playing point of view, but just the way he talks, you can tell he has a real understanding. And he's a younger coach, so he probably has that relationship with the younger guys. I mean, I've been lucky to talk to Kyle in the past. And, yeah, just a great person all around. So I reckon that the young guys, the WAFL listed, the AFL listed guys, really respect him. And he's full-time there at the club.
That's
so
right.
that really helps as well. He's always around the place, not just on match day, which maybe they've lacked in the past.
It exactly makes a huge difference from a West Coast Eagles point of view. And they get the chocolates once again in Northern. It was a thriller this time over Perth by 2 points. And now we go to the main event of the weekend, the 2 derbies, the People's Derbies on WA Day. We'll start it off at Fremantle Oval, and a big first quarter, 4-0 set up a great victory for South Fremantle by 14 points over East Fremantle, 13-9, 87-10, 13-73. A little bit of redemption achieved by the Bulldogs, and it was one man, the main man, Dylan Mayne, with 6 goals.
The main man isolating out from full forward. I reckon that could be a play that they might trial for the rest of the year, and maybe more WAFL clubs need to do that with those seasoned sort of veterans. Because he's been a midfielder for so long, a premiership captain.
Over 100 games.
Over 100 games. So that was the difference in the end, and just the start. I mean, it was remarkable, really. I thought honestly it could be a blowout. Obviously, East Fremantle came back, but South Fremantle, it was the start really, and a day to celebrate all round. I mean, 7,000 people, a bit of repetitiveness, but the crowd again. I mean,
amazing.
I said last week they were trying to get that. Not sure if that was, some people probably thought it wasn't realistic, but I mean, it proved wonders. And by all reports, there was people in Fremantle everywhere. Couldn't get in.
There was around about a 300-metre queue that was looking to get to Fremantle Oval. It was absolutely outstanding. And the game, even though it started off, it was going to be a blowout, East Fremantle actually pegged them back. To their credit, they came back strongly after quarter time, 5 goals to 4, and then they kicked another 3-2. And we thought, okay, we've got ourselves a contest here. But they were playing catch up right throughout the day. It has to be said. They just tried everything to try and peg them back even further, but they couldn't do so to less than 2 goals.
Without Hayden Schloeth as well, so that's a big tick for them. Isaiah Winder, he's in the top 5 players in the WAFL competition. I don't think we can make any mistake about that.
He has to be a Sandover contender.
He has to be. I think he's proving himself potentially another AFL lifeline in the coming months. But there was plenty to celebrate. I mean, Manfred Kelly played his 50th game as well.
Good to see him back.
Just the young guys as well. Like Caden Harbour came back into the team, who
Harbour's
sort of
back.
made the WA Day Derby his own last year. And loves the big occasion, setting up a couple of those goals with some nice vision
right.
to Dylan Mayne. So, yeah, they'll be impressed. And I guess from a East Fremantle point of view, I think Brent Teakle's lost. I mean, we can't say that's the reason why they lost, but
Lachlan Blackiston still played well in the ruck.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't categorise Brent Teagle's loss as the one that made the difference from a detrimental point of view for East Fremantle, because they're still searching for that first string ruckman. I reckon Lachlan Blackiston proved himself to be that next ruckman.
Yeah, it's a good step forward for him. I mean, Blaine Brokost, 3 goals. He was a positive as well for the Sharks.
6 goals in 2 games. He's been in really good form since coming back.
I think South pressure was very good as well. I mean, there was a couple holding the balls on Jack Cleaver, which sort of turned the momentum their way, just watching it. And I think they shut down John Marsh pretty well as well. He kicked 1 goal, and I think credit to the South Freo defenders, guys like Bolinu really flying under the radar.
And Strom as well.
So South Fremantle, all aspects of the game are really in sync at the moment. I know they lost to Peel, but, the the guys after the game say that it was the response they needed.
They're right back on track. They're right back on track after South Fremantle. They needed a big win like that just to lift them up for the second half of the season, and they certainly did that. From East Fremantle's point of view, again, Milan Murdoch just exceptional, 32 disposals, 8 tackles, so he wasn't afraid to put his body on the line. Tommy Joyce and Kyle Baskerville with 27 each, but they will look back at that start and see how they got controlled in the centre clearances, how they got knocked around in the midfield rotation. It was going to be the key, because the problem is now they've got West Perth on Sunday. They're going to be fired up as well. We'll talk about them in a moment. So that game with 5th place on the line, the next target that's going to be presented is going to be on them.
It will be. East Freo really need to bounce back. I'm sure we'll chat in depth about it on Thursday. But 14 points to South Freo probably doesn't reflect.
It flatters it.
A win's a win. 4 points on the board. I mean, they'll be happy to take that. I'm sure if you ask them at the start of the day, will you take a 14-point win, they'll take it in a heartbeat. But, I mean, East Freo, they came back. I think they always were going to a certain degree. Not enough in the end.
They just didn't play their best. I mean, they didn't show up until after quarter time, to be frank, and they were playing catch-up right throughout the day. But, the points go to South Fremantle, and well-deserved on Derby Day. Winners by 14 points at Fremantle Oval. And then, I don't know about you, but the Perth Derby, that has to be one of the best Perth Derbies in recent years. There was absolutely nothing in it between West Perth and East Perth, and ultimately the Royals got it done in a down-to-the-wire thriller, 13-8-86 to 11-17-83, and as a result, East Perth now stand alone at the top of the ladder.
Big boost for them, and again, well done on the call to you. It was an exciting game. The last quarter, another seesawing affair.
It was.
I think Harrison McCready kicked
He kicked the winner. Yeah, he kicked the winner. He kicked 2 in that quarter, so he was clutch when shifted up forward.
Bit of a swingman.
A reliable swingman at that as well, and to go along with 13 disposals, had 6 marks, but just his composure and his steadiness under pressure as well with those 2 goals, absolutely magnificent. And I will say this as well. It was a bit of a lucky win when you have a look at it, because West Perth had their chances. They had plenty of chances in that 50. They had 9 more inside 50s in total, and maybe if they'd kicked more accurately, West Perth would have won the game. I even heard that East Perth players agreed. I even spoke with a couple of them after the game, and even Hammer Brayshaw, Riley Saunders and co saying, well, maybe that was one they should have lost, because West Perth had plenty of chances, but, a win's a win, 4 points in the bag, and East Perth deserved that, especially after the start they made.
Yeah, might have got away with one according to the players, but taking nothing away from them there, and Mitch Croden really set it up, 38 disposals. Him and Shane Nelson, 44 disposals for Shane Nelson.
That was a real battle between the 2 best midfielders in the team, in the respective teams, 44 for Shane Nelson and 38 for Crowden, as you said. But I think Crowden created the greater impact. I think he won that battle. He was able to create greater impact for his fellow on-ballers and provide much greater, more efficient supply for East Perth's forward 50.
Yeah. Do you think Jasper Scaife's loss was felt as well?
It's a bit of a 50-50 because, the forwards were in good form, but they were pretty inaccurate as well. Look at this. Keitel, 5 behinds in 3 goals. Keegan Knott, 2 goals, 3. Joseph Hinder, 1 goal, 3 as well. So not entirely. But having said that, they need to be a lot more accurate. They need to address their goal kicking over the week.
They do. I'm curious to where this leads the Falcons. They're sort of middle around the table. Are they a contender? Are they not? Can they sneak their way into the 5? Obviously, only time will tell.
Same position as where East Fremantle and Claremont. I think those 3 teams are a bit so-so.
Yeah. No, it's a good call. It's going to be fascinating. I think percentage might define it with how tight this comp is. But, East Perth, I mean, down to the wire, cracking day up there at
6,500 people there.
Credit to all clubs involved. Cameron Britt from a South Fremantle point of view, and then obviously the West Perth.
Neil Fong as well, and company, Brett Raponi as well.
So, I think WA Footy is well and truly alive. And biggest crowd, I think, both games potentially since 2016.
Correct.
So that just speaks volumes of anyone thinking that WA Footy is dying is so far off it.
Oh, you better believe it, mate. I mean, WAFL football is awfully good, and it is that damn good. If anyone disagrees, then you're in the wrong state. But, the game itself, absorbing contest, plenty of atmosphere, and East Perth getting the chocolates on that one. It was absolutely well-deserved, and I was so impressed by the intensity of both teams. Neither of them gave each other an inch. That's what these derbies are all about. Maximum intensity, not giving your opponent any inch, tribal fervour, tribal passion, and we got that in both derbies. I would think more so in the Perth one.
Yeah, and you just got a sense in those last few minutes in the Perth derby that they knew that the next goal was going to win it.
Yeah.
They knew. You could just tell that it was all on the line, all or nothing, and could the Royals hold on? Could West Perth find a match winner? In the end, it was the Royals that were too good.
And well-deserved too. A great Perth derby. East Perth victors by 3 points over West Perth in an absolute cracker.
Punt from 50, win. Little too into the game, win. Too cocky, almost a win. Risking it all for the glory, win. It's win-win at the WAFL. Great footy, food and entertainment. Find out more at wafl.com.au.
Yes, plenty of action to come in 2024. Of course, round 10 with 3 games. We'll preview those games on Thursday. Let's now take a look at the WAFL ladder after the WA Day round. And the ladder looks like this. East Perth, new league leaders, following their win on Monday. They're on 28 points. Peel Thunder in second on 24, along with South Fremantle. So a bit of a race there for second place at the moment. Then there's a gap between third and fourth. Swan Districts in fourth, and East Fremantle rounding out the 5 on percentage. Ahead of West Perth and Claremont and the West Coast Eagles as well. The West Coast on the same points.
Could that
as
be
those
a
4
finals
teams.
chance?
Maybe, who knows? And then rounding out the bottom half is Subiaco and Perth on the ladder after 9 rounds of competition. Now, let's get to the votes, Ethan. The Player of the Year votes for the active WA Day round. 1 vote, Nick Rokar. Plenty of score involvements from midfield. Bit of a shift up forward as well to great effect. 2 votes, Callan England of Claremont. Definitely one of his better games. It has to be said, he created great impact in midfield. 3 votes, Dylan Main. He got the Bulldogs rolling in that first half. He would go on to kick 6 goals. It was a day out for him. And that isolation up forward was pivotal. Could South Fremantle try it as a norm for the rest of the season? Who knows? 4 votes, on debut, off the plane to Northam. 5 goals, Jack Hutchinson. You couldn't ask for a more spectacular debut than that. But the Around the Waffle top gun of round 9, the 5 votes goes to Mitch Crowden of East Perth. I mean, his impact, his ferocity at the football, his desperation in midfield could not be ignored.
And more midfield time, which I like. He's a lot of pace as well. So maybe that's a weapon that they can utilise in the back half of the year too.
That extra leg speed, very pivotal for the Tigers. Let's take a look at the leaderboard for the Player of the Year after 9 rounds. We have a new leader, Mitch Crowden. He lifts himself from 3rd to 1st on 12 votes. Bryn Teaker, we're likely not going to see him again this season as he's been drafted to North Melbourne. He's on 8 votes. Isaiah Winder just 1 behind in 3rd. Then comes Sam Stubbs, Hayden Schloith, Oliver Eastland, Jacob Blight, John O'Marsh and Jacob Caniglio on 5 votes. And then rounding out the top 10, Jack Hutchinson from the West Coast Eagles. And at this time, Ethan, 38 players have polled votes.
It could be down to the wire. There's a lot of players involved there. So it's going to be neck and neck as we count down.
No doubt about it. It's going to be huge, no doubt about that. Here's how you can check out some great apparel, which is also a very good thing, like the votes here on Around the Waffle at shop.wafl.com.au.
Introducing the WAFL Merch Shop, your ultimate destination for all things WAFL. From jerseys to scarves to caps, show your support for the WAFL in style. Grab exclusive merchandise now and gear up to cheer louder than ever before. Visit shop.wafl.com.au today and let your passion shine.
Well, that wraps it up for today's edition of Around the Waffle. Quite an exciting weekend of football. We must send a salute to all the fans that turned out throughout the weekend, especially on those 2 derbies. That's what WAFL football is all about, showing your support, showing your colours and showing your passion. No doubt about it. Those scenes are going to be forever etched in WA football's memory. Stay tuned for Thursday's episode, abbreviated episode. We're going to preview all the 3 matches in round 10. We're also going to chat to the big ruckman from East Perth, Scotty Jones.